Welcome. In previous session we have seen creating database, creating table and firing basic SQL queries on table like insert, update and delete. Today we will see how to display records from a table. Of course, we know that in MySQL database we have created a table, and if we want to display either all records of a table or few records or only a column or two column, that displaying operation in database is performed with the select query. Now we have connected our web page with the MySQL database as a backend or server, and we are connecting front end with the backend with the PHP code. And we can design a GUI form for performing insert, update, select queries, and we can fire queries on the MySQL database. As SQL database is a collection of table which is having number of records in it, and each record is a collection of fields or columns. Now, how to display records from a table on a web page? So for that we have a select command or a query, and optional we can mention the few of the columns that we want to display separated by comma from table name. If you want all the records to be displayed from the table, we can simply put select star from table name. And in select query we can also have a where clause just to restrict the number of records to be displayed as per your condition. For example, we can have a UI form with the PHP. We can connect to the MySQL database, and this database might be having a table of albums with columns ID, title, artist, and the year of album. And if I and this albums table is having suppose 5 records, and I want to display the title column from the album instead of id, artist and year column. I just want to display a single column and all the records from this album table. I can write select title from albums. So from album table the title column with all the values in it will be displayed. Now for that, how we can execute this query in PHP? We will understand the methods with the diagrammatic representation. As of now, suppose we have EMP table in our MySQL database. Our database name is employee and the table name is EMP. This EMP table is having columns ID, name and salary, and there are records in this table. Now, for displaying all these records on a web page, we have to fire a select query. So before that, before executing that query, we will build a query by writing it select star from EMP, and we will run this query with mysqli underscore query and con object and this SQL variable. The output of select query is always a number of records having a collection of values. So the output of select query is also a data in a tabular format. It is also a table, but that is a temporary table that will be closed or vanished when we are out of the code. So that output of the select query is known as a result set, which is a temporary table, and that is without a column heading. And there is always a pointer which is above the first row, and that pointer is known as a virtual pointer. Now as a programmer or as a user, we cannot predict how many number of rows will be returned on the condition of select query. So we have to check how many number of records are available in the table, or whether table is an empty or not. So how to check that? So for that we have mysqli underscore num underscore rows method. In that we have to pass the object of this result table, and if it is equal to 0, it means there are no records in a table, so the output of select query will be no records. But if there are multiple number of rows or greater than 0 records are available, then we have to display that number of rows. So for printing that number of rows on our web page, we have to create a table to display records in a tabular format. For creating table in HTML, we have to use table and end of table tag. As table is a collection of number of rows and columns. So first r- for forming a first row, we have to create a row, an empty row, with start of the tr, that is table row tag, which is ending with the slash tr, that is table row end tag. Now in this row I have to put up the column heading. So in this start of the tr and end of the tr, I will be mentioning the column headings in the th, that is table heading, and end of th tag. For example, as our EMP table is having ID, name, and salary columns, so I can create a row for that heading like this. Start of the row with tr, and as it is a column heading, so we will have a tag th, that is table heading. The first column heading is id, and the first column heading ends over here. Then in the same row we have the second column heading, that is name, and second column heading ends here. Again in the same row we have a third column, that is salary, and here the row ends. So we get that id, name, salary as a column heading in this row. Now the column heading is created. Now we have to put up the data. For that we have to have the values by mentioning the td tag. Now before that, understand, we have to read the data values from the result set one by one row at a time. Now this is the output of our emp table after firing a select star from query. So I have to read one row at a time from this result set. So for that we have to use method mysqli underscore fetch underscore array, and in bracket give the output of the select query, which is in the result variable, and that one row will be fetched, and that we will take into dollar row variable. Now this row variable is having three cell values, that is three column values. Now we have to print that values. So now this row variable is having three cell values that we have to print in our empty table as a data. So for that we have to create a table row. The first data in the first cell we have to mention in the td, that is table data tag, and the value we are taking from the dollar row variable, and in the square bracket we have to give the column name in the single quote. So it will take the id value from this cell, and that will be printed over here. Then from the second data cell we want the value from the first row, and from the name column that will be printed in the second position, and in the third cell we will be getting record from this dollar row and having column value from the salary column, and we have to end the row. This process will be repeated till there are rows fetching from the result set. Now we have to apply this logic, and we have to print the all the records. And after printing all the records, we have to free the result set, which is a temporary table. For that we have mysqli underscore free underscore result, and in bracket we have to give the output of the select query variable. Now we will see this implementation of the code. Now we have to write the PHP code for this, and before that we will see our PHP my admin dashboard. Let's verify whether our XAMPP control panel is running or not. Now start the Apache services, then start the MySQL services, and we have to start our local host. So we have to start our local host at port number 8080. Host local host is started. Now we will check our PHP my admin panel. Yes, it is refreshed now. In this we have a employee database. Over here under that we have a EMP table. In that EMP table we have these two records as of now with ID, name and salary. Now we have to write a PHP code to read all the records from this EMP table of employee database and display on the web page. So we will start writing the PHP code as per the explained logic. We have to create the connection object by using mysqli underscore connect. In bracket we will mention local host with root as username, empty password, and we have to give the name of our database. If the connection is successful, we have to move further. If not, if it is identical to false value, we have to give an error message could not connect. This message will be hit when there is a wrong username for the MySQL or there is a wrong database. Likewise, if connection is established successfully, we have to form a select query in one variable. That query we have to mention in double quotes. Suppose I want to display all records, I will write select star from name of our table is EMP. Now the query is formed, end with semicolon. Now we will check whether there are number of records available in the EMP table or not. After firing this select query on the EMP table, if the results are written or not, that we will check. We have just builded the query. Now we have to run the query. We know that we run the query by writing mysqli underscore query. We have to give the object of connection and we have to pass the query. Till now, we were just checking whether this method is returning true or false. As we know that the insert update delete query will just return true if there is a successful execution of the query, and it will return false if that query fails. But the output of select query is not a true or false. Correct? The output of select query is always a temporary table, one result set. So that we have to check whether after executing this SQL, that is select query on EMP table, do we get anything in dollar result variable, and if this query is successfully executed, then we have to check. Now the query is fired. The output of the select query is taken in the table. The name of that table is result. Now we have to check if there are zero records in this result. So we will check that if mysqli underscore num underscore rows is greater than 0. If there are more than 0 records in in this dollar result table, then only we can start printing. So if mysqli underscore num underscore rows query on the result table is giving greater than 0 number of rows, then we have to start printing the table. So as this creating table is an html code, so we will write that into echo statement and in double quotes. So table we will start. First we have to create a row. So we will create a row, and in first row we will have the heading, and the heading of our first column is id, and the first heading ends over here. Same we have to repeat for name and salary. So we will write here the name as column name as a name and salary as a third column name. After the heading ends over here, we have to end the row. Now the heading will be printed only once, correct? Now if there are multiple records in the result set, we have to keep printing the values from the cells on the web page. So we have to fetch the row from the result set, and we have to keep printing till records are fetched. So for that we are writing while loop. In dollar row variable we are taking the rows from result table, and that is taken by writing mysqli underscore fetch underscore array. In bracket we are giving the name of our dollar result, that is output of select query. If the row is returned, or if there is a row in this result table, so we will create a first row of the table by tr tag, and in that we have to print the table data, means cell value. So that cell value we have to print from dollar. The sale value is now available with this row, but now this row is having three columns: id, name and salary. So we have to mention that this dollar row and the value from id field we have to take into the single quote, and we have to end this table data tag, td tag, and end the first column sale. Same we will repeat for name and salary. The table data will start, and the data has to be fetched from name column, and the table data will end. Again, this is continuing on in the same row, and finally the value will be taken from salary table. After that we have to end the row. So we will end that row with slash tr. So this whole process will be repeated till this condition in the while loop is true. After that we have to end our table by end of table tag. Now the result set is printed if it successfully gets executed. After that we have to free the result, which is a temporary table that we have received in this result variable after firing select query on the emp table. So now here we have to close this if bracket and then this if bracket. If there are multiple number of rows available in this result table, we are creating table, we are creating heading, and we are printing rows till there are number of records available in result set. So after that we are closing first if there are records, else we have to mention that there are no records in table, and then we will be print closing second upper if the connection fails, then we have to give message over here echo could not connect or could not execute the query, could not execute query. Now closing of if, sorry, the else is done. Now we will close the connection mysqli underscore close underscore dollar con and end of php tag. Now we will save this file with suppose cell.php and under XAMPP htdocs. Save the file, minimize the file. We will move to the localhost, give name of file cell.php, unexpected token. We have to check where we have given extra token that we have to identify. Here error is on line 15, unexpected token. So here I have ended tr tag without mentioning echo. So we will put that in double quotes, save the code. We will refresh our cell.php and closing bracket on line 9, on line 16. Okay, if there are multiple number of rows available, we will be printing, we will be creating a table, heading will be created. This is the closing of while, this is the closing of if, this is the closing of upper if. Now we have to check where there is a mismatch in the bracket. We have started this if, while, first if, then second if. There are no further brackets over here. Okay, if mysqli unclosed doesn't match with this. Okay, this is result and this is extra parenthesis. Let's save the code and run the code. Undefined array key salary. Okay, but the records are displayed and the table is not shown you can use the table border is equal to suppose 4, and if we run the code we will get the data in tabular format. So this is how we can display number of records available in the table. So this is the logic. We have to create check, we have to execute the select query, take the answer into the result set variable, check if there are number of rows greater than 0, then we have to create a table, give the heading, retrieve a single row by mysqli underscore fetch underscore array from this result set, and print the values available from these rows and these columns. So this dollar row is having three columns, that's why there are three td rows over here, and that we have to mention in a single quote, and we will be printing that values in a table cell format. So this is how we can display number of rows in a from a table. As per your select condition, there will be a, like, if I want to display select name, select name column from emp table, then we should not use this name and salary heading, and we should not use this name and salary heading. Sorry, we want to display the name, so this will not be over here, this will not be over here, the salary column. We just want to display the name. So save the code and check the output, only the name column is displayed. And you may give a condition over here by giving the where clause, select name from emp. We can apply the condition where the salary is greater than suppose 20,000. Select name from emp where salary is greater than 20,000. Save the code, refresh the file, and check the output. There are no records in a table where there is no equal to salary greater equal to 20,000 salary. If I give select name from emp where salary is greater than 40,000, because there is a record in a table, run the code, the name is displayed. So this is the way we can have a select query on a table. So in this session we have seen how to execute a select query and what are the basic important methods by applying the methods for checking the number of rows, for fetching a single row and then printing the value from the column into the cells of td tag, and we can display the records. I hope you have understood these concepts. See you in the next session. Thank you.